Hello, and welcome to a Pokemon XD Gala Darkness video, where we will be continuing our prehistoric journey, going through all the ancient Pokemon, and today's episode is Aerodactyl. Now, I do have a lot of hopes for Aerodactyl in particular. In fact, I think it's going to be one of the best Pokemon I've ever done, hopefully, because it's got a lot of good things going for it, such as its stats. It has 80 HP, 105 attack, 65 defense, 60 special attack, 75 special defense, and 130 speed, which makes it so that we'll probably be outspeeding anything ahead of us, and on top of that, we'll probably be able to take it down in a single hit. It also gets some pretty nice type coverage, with normal, flying, dark, rock, fire, and ground. It should be able to hit most types in the game for at least neutral damage. And being a rock flying type means that it is immune to ground type moves, so I don't even have to worry about that weakness. It does add a few other weaknesses, but I think together rock and flying pair pretty well together. Anyway, our Aerodactyl in particular has a rash nature, raising its special attack but lowering its speed, which is honestly fine. It has 130 base speed, so I doubt I'm going to be outsped even with a slight decrease. And special attack could be nice for bite early on. And for its ability, it has Rock Head, which prevents recoil damage, which could be nice if I need a bit more damage on like Double Edge or something. That way I'm not taking extra damage from it. And of course, it gets Wing Attack and Agility by level 10 according to Bulbapedia, which is actually pretty good early on. Wing Attack is 60 base power after all. So let's go ahead and get right into it. And yeah, I kind of just destroyed the first little bit of the game. Like, there really wasn't anything to show other than a loss to Pikachu because I got paralyzed. But moving right along, now in these battles, and this is where I usually ramble a bit. If you are enjoying this series, or this video in particular, consider liking and subscribing. And if you have any other Pokemon you want to see, suggest them down below. Also, I'm releasing this probably today, right after I record it, and that's because I kind of want to see if I can get out 2 videos a week starting now. It probably won't happen every week, but if I can get a quick Pokemon and a kind of slower Pokemon, I can probably do 2 a week. Don't hold me on that, but I'll try. Anyway, so that means on Friday, I will try to get the Lilip Cradily one done, and we'll be done with prehistoric Pokemon. Anyway, on to the first boss battle of the game against Lovrina. She leads with a Beautifly and a Love Disc, and honestly, I don't think this should be all that hard. I can take down the Beautifly and the Roselia in a single hit, bringing her to our last Pokemon, Delcatty, which is a Shadow Pokemon, so it is going to be doing super effective damage. But it probably won't be doing too much. I'd take down half. Unfortunately, Cute Charm activates, so I might not be able to attack, and that did actually quite a bit. Okay, well, a decent first attempt. Okay, let's go back into it. This is now the 3rd attempt. I have leveled up just a little bit to help my survivability on some of these attacks. They're not going to be doing nearly as much damage. Now, I decided to actually take down the Love Disc this time, because Love Disc was definitely doing way more damage than Beautifly was. And I'm still doing about half to Delcatty, so not a one-shot, but I'm able to take it down, and now I can take down the Beautifly with ease. So with that, 3rd attempt takes down Lovrina, so not too bad. We move along to Mirror B, of course. The obligatory Mirror B mention. You can't have a Pokemon XD Gale Darkness video without him. So, hello Mirror B. Moving right along to the ONBS building, I get access to the move Ancient Power, which I'm going to keep for the rest of this run because it does very well against the final boss. And of course, at the Real Gam Tower, I pick up my 2 favorite TMs, Hidden Power and Protect, and I decide to actually buy a couple copies of Protect because I have a feeling I'm going to be deleting a couple here and there for moves that I want at particular fights. And we move right along to the next big fight of the game against Snaddle. He leads with the Lantern and Quagsire, and I decide to attack the Quagsire first because I really don't want to be taking these Rock Tombs that are going to do a lot of damage and lower my speed at the same time. Out comes Lunatone. It's going to set up Shadow Sky on the first turn. Now I decide to go for Ancient Power into Lantern to see how much it'll do, but unfortunately it's not a one-shot, and I lose my first attempt. Now, unfortunately, this does take another 5 attempts to beat, and that's because I just kept attacking the Quagsire first. And after quite a few levels, I realized that that's not really the correct answer. I should have been taking down the Lantern first, because it actually does a lot more damage. And because of Aerodactyl's incredibly high speed stat, it doesn't actually get outsped by anything on his team. Even at -6, I'm pretty sure, so I was never really in any kind of trouble with being slower than anything. And as you can see, I'm actually strong enough to basically one-shot everything other than his 2 leads and Lunatone. So, I really should have just taken down Quagsire first, but oh well, 6 attempts, my bad. Anyway, we move along to the next boss of the game, and as you can see, I've already come into this fight paralyzed and at half health. A bit unfortunate, but oh well. I don't think I'm going to win this first attempt, obviously, but okay, I take down the Electrode. That's quite nice, and I get an Omni Boost. So, I'm able to take down the Vileplume for a bit more experience. Out comes Whiscash, and I actually survived because of that boost to my defense. That's quite nice. But yeah, no, I wasn't going to win. So I decide I'm going to go ahead and teach Protect here, because honestly, I could use it just to get rid of the first Fake Out, and oh no. Oh no, what have I done? And if you don't quite understand the severity of what I've just done, I now have to relearn Ancient Power, and there's only one way to do that. And it is quite off-topic to go get it, and while I could reload a save, I haven't saved since, I think, the Power Rangers. So now I have to beat Mount Battle at least twice. I've already beat it once because I was doing a bit of training for Snaddle here, and I beat Area 3. So I decided to go for Area 2. I'm already at 600 points. I think it gives 400 points. It only gives 300. So I had to defeat Area 1 as well. And that took about 15 to 20 minutes. But at the end of it, I learned Ancient Power again, replaced Protect, and then actually put Protect over Hidden Power like I had wanted. And we go back into the fight. I rearrange my inventory. My moves. And Fake Out doesn't work. Spark can't hit me. I go for Ancient Power. And take down the Electrode in a single hit. And I get paralyzed and lose. Okay, well that's alright. I go back into it. Take down the Electrode and get paralyzed and lose. Anyway, here's the winning attempt here. This is now attempt number 5. And look at that, I didn't get paralyzed and lose. Out comes Vileplume, who I know I can one-shot with Wing Attack. And then out comes Whiscash, who might be a threat, because it also has Spark. I go for Bite, and it's doing very little, but I got a flinch, and a Wing Attack takes it down. Out comes Skarmory. Now, unfortunately, I would have had something for this had I kept Hidden Power, but also getting paralyzed on the first turn, it was probably worth that risk. Anyway, I'm able to take it down in just a couple hits anyway. And then it's just me and the Nuzleaf, and it goes down in a single hit. So, kinda bad, but alright. At the top of the pyramid, I get access to the move Earthquake, which I'm going to teach right away. Over Bite. Because even though Bite is kinda useful for the flinches, I don't think I'm really going to need it for later fights. Anyway, this is usually the guy who uses Earthquake all the time, but because I'm a flying type, he's not going to use Earthquake at all. So I'm going to attack who I think are the biggest threats. And Iron Tail actually did quite a bit there. But it's only got 70% accuracy, so really it's not that bad. Anyway, now I start going for Earthquake. Lairon goes down in a single hit, Slowking goes down in a single hit, out comes the Ursaring and his first Shadow Pokemon, Primeape. Now Primeape might actually be a little scary, so I decide to Protect here just in case it survives. And I go for Earthquake, Ursaring survives, and Primeape also survives. And I get down pretty low. I go for another Protect just to get a little bit of health back before I take them down and move on to his last Pokemon, which is a Shadow Hypno. And this thing has the possibility of doing a ton of damage to me, so another Protect just to get a little bit more health back, and hopefully I can one-shot it. Okay. And just like that, I beat him first attempt. And that brings us on to the last area of the game, where I'm really hoping it'll just fly through, because I think it has the possibility of doing so. So anyway, we move on to the first fight, a rematch against Lavrina. I use Earthquake and take down Gardevoir, and Gorbis survives by a thread. So if I do lose this, I do have to level up once, just to make sure that's a one-shot. Roselia goes down, and Infatuation doesn't take me, so I'm able to take down Gorbis. Now, unfortunately, this does leave me in a predicament of having to fight both of her Shadow Pokemon. But luckily, if I take down the Farfetch'd, I won't get confused, and Altaria really doesn't do too much damage, so I defeat her first attempt, so not too bad. And then I get to the top of the mountain, and we run into Snaddle. I go for Earthquake to take down the Metang, and because I'm a flying type, Quagsire's not going to use Mud Shot, it's going to use Waterfall, which is probably better. So I go for Protect this turn just to get a little bit more health back. Not quite a one-shot on the Scizor. Out comes Solrock. This thing has Levitate, so I can't use Earthquake on it. And Steel Wing does quite a bit of damage to me. I decide to try to take down the Solrock, but it's not a one-shot, and it sets up Shadow Sky. So now I'm going to be taking chip damage from the Fruity Pebbles. And I take down the Solrock, and I get an Omni Boost, but it's for naught, because Steel Wing takes me down. So, I decide going into the second attempt, I'll go ahead and teach Flamethrower, that way I can take down the Scizor right away. And I decide to teach it over Wing Attack. They're pretty similar in their use cases, so I think it's fine. This is now attempt number 4, and the reason for that is just I couldn't one-shot the Quagsire before, but now I can. And I still can't quite one-shot the Solrock, unfortunately, so I am going to be taking chip damage. And the chip plus also just damage from everything else led to me losing a couple more times. But this is now the winning attempt. And now that I have Flamethrower, I take down the Scizor with ease. And then out comes Castform. Shadow Rave really doesn't do too much to me. But I decide to go for Protect this turn to stall out some of the Fruity Pebbles. And I decide to go for Earthquake this turn to get rid of Castform, because it has Thunderbolt, and that actually does quite a bit of damage to me if I get hit by it. And then out comes his final Pokemon, which is a Shadow Starmie. That thing is absolutely going to hurt quite a bit, but it seems to just be going for Shadow Mist at this level for some reason. So I go for Earthquake, still not quite a one-shot on it. It goes for Shadow Mist, but because I outspeed, I'm guaranteed to take it down this turn. If I don't go for a heal, I don't. Earthquake takes it down. And at this point, I'm guaranteed to take down the Solrock, so I go for Ancient Power, and beat Snaddle on the 4th attempt. Okay, moving on, we go to Ardos, who might be a threat, or might not be a threat. I don't know, I think I match up well into most of his Pokemon, but also this Kingdra here has Hydro Pump, and his Heracross has Rock and Fighting type moves, so it could be doing a lot of damage to me. Speaking of, Hydro Pump actually does quite a lot, it's almost half. And the chip damage is definitely bringing me a bit lower. I go for Protect. And I think this turn I decide to go for Earthquake. Yep. Not enough to take down the Heracross, but I take down the Kingdra. Out comes Electabuzz. Rock Tomb. It doesn't really do too much to me, lowers my speed, but it shouldn't matter at this point. I go for Protect this turn. And now I can start healing again. I go for Earthquake, take down the Heracross and the Electabuzz. With a crit, I don't think it was necessary. And then out comes Snorlax, who I think I should be able to take a hit from, but I'm going to go for Protect anyway, just to make sure I can survive. It hits, and does a surprising amount of damage to me. I really thought it'd do a little less. And I take down Snorlax, so that's a first attempt. And moving right along to the next fight against Gorgon. Earthquake. Earthquake. Water Pulse. No confusion. No confusion. Earthquake. Take down the Slowking. Take down the Aggron. Out comes Walrein. Out comes Poliwrath. Poliwrath is a Shadow Pokemon that's always going to set up Shadow Sky. Earthquake. Earthquake. Mr. Mime comes out. Shadow Sky. A little bit of damage. And Earthquake. Okay, well, a hard-fought battle. But that's Gorgon. Anyway, moving right along to the next fight, it's against Eldest. Now, I do actually think this one might be a little difficult, and that's because I really don't have anything for the Marowak or the Flygon that he has. In fact, I think all of my moves are resisted or he's immune to, so it's going to be a very slow battle. Anyway, Salamence also isn't a one-shot apparently, so that's a bit unfortunate. And Ninjask isn't really doing too much damage, but it is doing a little bit of damage. So, Silver Wind, yeah, not too much. Ancient Power actually takes down the Salamence. And then out comes Flygon. And I decide to go for Protect turn. That way the Ninjask starts going into his Protects and Aerial Aces. And as you can see, Ancient Power is doing almost nothing. Dragon Breath comes out. Surprisingly doesn't paralyze me. Ancient Power again, takes him down to half. Another Dragon Breath. Okay, there's the paralysis. And I just went ahead and sped this up. Now I am going to swap to Flamethrower for this last one, and that's because I want to save PP for the Lapras if I can get to it. That way I'm doing super effective damage. And maybe able to one-shot it? Probably not though. Anyway, after 3 consecutive turn losses due to paralysis, I finally take down the Flygon, and then out comes Marowak. I am probably going to be slower than it though. Oh, actually, I'm faster than it. Okay, that's surprising. Earthquake takes it to half, and I get one shot. Okay, well that's alright. I decide to go back to the Tutor Lady, and that's because I'm going to go pick up Double Edge, because I have the Rocky Head ability, meaning that I'm not going to take damage from it. And it's 120 base power, meaning that I might be able to actually take down the Flygon in a hit, maybe? Anyway, I went ahead and skipped right to it because nothing really changes between the first interactions. I go for Double Edge, and I take it down fairly low. It's not a one-shot, but it's pretty close. No paralysis, so I'm able to take it down with an Ancient Power. And I'm kind of hoping for an Omni Boost here, but I don't get it. Out comes Marowak. And to be honest, I don't really know what I should be going for. I go for Flamethrower here, because it's a lot weaker on the special side, but it still only does about half. Luckily it gets burnt, so I don't get one shot. And I decide I have to take it down. Even if it's going to die this next turn, I don't have Protect anymore, so I do need to take it down. And then out comes Lapras. Now I go for Ancient Power, and it's not quite a one-shot. That's alright. Sets up Shadow Sky. And luckily Ninjask is going to go Protect this turn, so I don't need to worry about any extra damage. Take down the Lapras. And Ninjask should be taken down with one more Ancient Power. And that's Eldest. Not too shabby. Anyway, before we can go to the final boss of the game, we have to beat the big box legendary, Shadowlovia. And I doubt it's going to be too big an issue. I have Ancient Power, so it's going to be doing super effective damage. Never mind, I got a crit. Okay, well that was a one-shot. Pretty easy. So we move right along to the final boss of the game. He leads with a Rhydon and a Moltres. Ancient Power one-shots the Moltres. Executor comes out. Unfortunately, Rhydon does hit a Shadow In, which is only a 50-50. I go for Earthquake, take down the Rhydon, and do a decent amount of damage to Executor. Out comes Tauros, lowering my attack, so I'm not going to be doing nearly as much damage with Earthquake, but I'm able to take down the Executor. Out comes Articuno. Tauros sets up Shadow Sky. I should be faster than the Articuno, so I go for Ancient Power and take it down in a single hit. Okay, that's good. Out comes Zapdos. And honestly, I think Zapdos might be the hardest Pokemon for Aerodactyl in this fight. And I ran out of Ancient Power PP. Okay, well not too bad for our first attempt, but unfortunate. So, I am now on the third attempt. Yeah, it took 3 tries. The second attempt, I basically learned that I do not in fact one-shot Zapdos, and Zapdos with a crit does a lot of damage. Anyway, I take down the Rhydon and the Moltres. I get a critical hit on the Earthquake, so I take down Tauros right away, which might be worse because I really don't want to rely on Executor gambling luck, but it's what I got. I'm able to take down the Articuno just as before, and after using my rare candies, I still don't one-shot Zapdos. Okay, well that's alright, and there's a crit again. Okay, but I'm able to take down the Zapdos this turn. Now all I have to do is hope that I don't get one-shot by the Executor. And I don't. I survive on a thread. And I take it down and beat the game. So how did Aerodactyl do? Well, it finished the game at 9 hours and 55 minutes at level 77. And it lost a total of 28 times. Which isn't too bad, but it's definitely not the star showing I was really hoping it would have. And to be fair, that time probably could have been decreased a little more had I not messed up the ancient power. And on top of that, I didn't really mention it throughout the video, but I had some of the worst paralysis luck I've ever seen. I got paralyzed like 10 times and lost because of those. Anyway, that doesn't really matter to the Pokemon. Every Pokemon's going to have some luck or some not luck. It's not going to really bother the rankings, but I think in terms of where it should go, it's very similar to Flareon, surprisingly, in a lot of ways. I think it has the possibility to go a little faster, but Flareon beat the game faster, at least in this attempt. It also didn't lose nearly as much, and it was only a couple levels higher. So I think, given all that, I'll give Flareon the victory here. But if I ever redo Aerodactyl for any reason, I'll probably see about trying to beat Flareon's time. I don't think it's really better than Vaporeon, though. Anyway, with that being said, be sure to check back in on Friday. Hopefully I have the Leaf Cradilly line finished. If I don't, it might be a Saturday release because it took longer than I thought. If you like this video, like, comment, subscribe. I think that's it. Bye.